You're entering The Zone, ABC4's Red Zone.
It's another cold winter night here in Salt Lake City, but the action inside the Huntsman Center promises to be hot, hot, hot. It's the opening of the college gymnastics season, and two of the best teams in the entire country are here. UCLA, the defending national champs, the Bruins return almost their entire squad that won the title last year. And the University of Utah, the Red Rocks, have 7 new faces on the team. They come into this meet ranked number 5 in the preseason. Get ready, this should be a good one. It's college gymnastics at its finest, and it's coming up next. Welcome to the Huntsman Center, everyone. Tonight's college gymnastics meet between UCLA and Utah should be a good one. Wesley Ruff here alongside Missy Marlowe, former Olympian and University of Utah All-American. Missy, these two teams are two of the powerhouse teams in the entire country.
Yes, there's a long history here. Coach Greg Marsden and Megan Marsden, Valerie Condos Fields of UCLA have been friends for over 20 years. They've traded back and forth with national championships, with all kinds of records, everything you can imagine. So they're great friends, but there's a huge rivalry here. Always exciting to start the season this way.
Utah comes in with 7 freshmen. It's unheard of for the University of Utah. And they're going to be counting a lot on some of these freshmen here tonight.
Will. And this will be fun to talk about. We'll see how they do. They should be really good. Freshman Corey Lothrop out of Hills Gymnastics in Maryland, one of the very highest recruited freshmen in the country. They're looking for her not just to become a great sophomore, great junior, great senior, but also a great freshman this year.
Yeah, they're saying that she's not only the future of this team, she is the present. She's going to be one of 2 gymnasts going all around for Utah tonight. Stephanie McAllister also going all around, a junior for Utah. UCLA comes in as the defending national champion, and they return everyone but just 1 gymnast, so you know this is a solid team.
Well, UCLA is always fantastic. They're without 2 of their top gymnasts that they've lost to injuries also in the preseason. Zema Perea, the number 8 ranked gymnast in the elite program in the country, out with a torn Achilles, and Sam Pezic off the 2008 Beijing team out with a broken foot, at least for part of the season, hopefully not the entire season. So they are a little bit shorthanded also, but this will be a great rivalry. UCLA leads by 1 win in the last 15 matchups in the last 15 years. So it's tight. It's tight.
Utah would love to tie that up tonight, and also they need to see how they stack up against the best in the entire country with all these new faces. It's Utah versus UCLA in college gymnastics, and it's coming up next. Back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. The Utah Utes and the UCLA Bruins are just going through their final preparations before the meet starts. Missy Marlowe alongside Wesley Ruff. And Missy, we talked about this earlier. It's going to be interesting to see how these young freshmen for the University of Utah compete and how they handle the pressure, because most of them never competed in an environment like this.
That's right. This is a huge crowd. It's a boisterous crowd. And in a lot of cases, it really doesn't matter what kind of experience the gymnasts come in with. This is still different. In a lot of ways, it's much more exciting. As an athlete, think about it. When you're in your prep or your club or your high school sports, you've got 5 or 6 people cheering for you in the stands. You've got your family there, maybe a friend or 2. This is 14,000+ people who are all on your side as an athlete, and that's a very different feeling. It can really bring the butterflies out a little bit more than what even veteran performers are used to.
And most of them never competed in a team situation.
That's right. At the elite level, it's very much an individual sport. Obviously, they're training with friends and training with teammates, but competition at the higher levels, a lot of times there's only 2 or 3 or 4 gymnasts from any one club with you on the floor. But now that is one of the single greatest things about competing in college. I will never forget the first time I competed as a freshman. The meet was over before it even seemed like it started, just because it's so much easier to have those teammates to rely on.
And UCLA comes in with a veteran team. They are solid. They are the defending national champions. They are good for a reason. This is a very strong Bruin team.
Well, UCLA is always fantastic. I mean, they had their own string of national championships also. Fell off the last couple years and then came back to win it all last year. And Valerie Condos, like we said in the beginning, and coaches Greg and Megan Marsden are very good friends, very heated. It's kind of fun because now it'll be the Pac-12 against the SEC even more than it was before.
Jacqueline Johnson will start things off for the University of Utah. They have the Olympic rotation starting on the vault.
This will be a Yurchenko layout with a full twist. And a little bit pike position in the air, a step on the landing. So not a bad vault, not a bad start off, but she's going to need to get completely stretched and be able to hold the stretch in the air and not have to pike down to get her feet underneath her quite so much.
Aisha Gerber will be on, starting things off for the Bruins on the bars.
Required to move between the bars at least twice during the routine. There's a half pirouette to her first release move, a Jaeger. Every 10 degrees that the gymnast is out of a perfect handstand position is a 10th deduction. The dismount sequence, giant swing, full pirouette, to a double pike dismount and a hop on the landing. That's a 10th off. Another clean start for UCLA also.
Utah will have 3 freshmen competing on the vault, and they start off with Mary Beth Lofgren, the first freshman we'll see here tonight.
A local from Olympus Gymnastics in Sandy. There's the round off back handspring, layout full, and another great vault. She piked down a little bit more than she needed to, resulting in the large hop backwards, but a great stretch off the horse, a little bit better than what Jacqueline did.
She looks a little nervous there, don't you think?
You know, this is really intimidating for her. There are so many people here watching. Really, really a good start.
Olivia Courtney going on the bars for the Bruins now. A late substitution for UCLA.
That was a toe-on, toe-off hex to high bar. Right back to transition. Toe-on, toe-off again. To a move called a ganger. And there's a little bit of a bobble. Now she manages to complete the skill, so not a huge deduction, but it did break the rhythm of the routine, plus the bent arms, and a full twisting double back with a great stick.
Perfect
so
landing.
just a little bit off on her timing on the pirouette. Olivia is a 3-year U.S. national team member.
And next up for Utah is a national team member, the national team of Canada, Nancy Damianova, was on the Olympics for the Canadian team in Beijing.
She's the 2008 Canadian vault champion.
So you think she'd be good at this?
She should be good at vault. Let's see here, Yurchenko full, round up back handspring, full, and again, they're piking down just a little for the first competition this season. That is not bad. There's nothing worse than landing a hair short and jamming the ankles right off the bat. So you see the complete stretch off the horse, good height, and just a little bit too much of a pike down, resulting in the hop backwards.
And how much will the hop cost them?
110 per step.
Sydney Sawa now up for the Bruins on the bars.
Sydney competed in the 2007 and 2009 World Championships for Canada. There's a toe-on, toe-off to a reverse hex, also called a ray, to a shoot half. Really tight handstand positions, excellent toe point, great extension, dismount sequence, 2 giants to a double layout, and just 1 small hop with 1 step on the dismount.
We are halfway through the first rotation here at the Huntsman Center between Utah and UCLA. We're going to take a quick timeout and be back with more of this gymnastics meet right after this. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. Utah on the vault. This is Stephanie McAllister, a junior, working the all-around for the Utes here today.
Round off back handspring. And again, she bent her arms just a little bit on the horse. She really came back off the springboard fast, maybe even a touch faster than she expected. Just a little bit of bent arms. And again, just not quite completely stretched in the air. These are good, solid vaults for Utah. As they get their timing down in competition, get used to the extra adrenaline and, and just kind of the jitters that take a few competitions to get out of. I think they'll be able to stretch a little bit more through the air, be a little more aware of their landings.
Brittany McCullough going now for the Bruins. And these girls have been in training for a couple of months. Just in the gym, and they want to get out here and compete. But, the pressure of, like you said, 14,000 people here at the Huntsman Center, it's an entirely different environment.
Different. It takes a time or two to get used to it, to remember it. Toe on, toe off. Toe on, toe off to Tkachev. Also called a reverse hack. There's usually 2 or 3 names for any given skill, so I seem to be changing terminology. because I am. Here's her dismount sequence. A half in, half out. That's a full twist and double back. And she almost stuck it cold. She covered a little bit by stepping to the judge quickly. And that's their discretion, whether that's a 10th off or they felt like she was in control before turning to salute that was the end of her routine.
Now it's the gymnast that a lot of people have come here to see, Corey Lothrop, the future of this program here at the University of Utah. And she is one of the best gymnasts in the country, a freshman. Our first look at Corey.
She warmed up a full and a half twist. They weren't sure if she was going to compete it. Round off back handspring, 1.5. And just the hop backwards. You know, I think she could have gotten away with just one step, but I think her heels got caught in the mat just a little bit. A really hard vault for the first meet of the season. There's the 1.5, a completely blind landing. And a quick salute to the judges to avoid another step.
Is that just under-rotating?
Slightly under-rotating, right. Corey was the Olympic team alternate for the Beijing Olympics in 2008.
Monique De La Torre now going for the Bruins.
Last year, she competed on the uneven bars 12 times for UCLA and scored no lower than a 9.8 in every routine. There's a hop full to a ganger, named after the first German gymnast to ever perform it on the men's high bar. Shoot half to an immediate toe shoot. There is bonus combination in combining those skills together and not breaking them up by extra glide kips or cast handstands. And you know, another judgment call by the judges, whether she stuck that dismount or had a 10th or a half a 10th on the quick step into the salute.
They are doing a nice job of disguising that, aren't they? Our final competitor for Utah on the vault, Kendall Robarts, a senior from Texas. Obviously one of the crowd favorites here.
First team All-American on vault in 2008. And this is a half turn onto the horse, hike front.
Wow.
Beautiful vault. Beautiful vault. It would be hard to improve on that.
She just stuck that thing.
It's a round off, half twist onto the horse, front pike. Feet are planted squarely on the ground, just what the coaches want to see.
Kendall, the senior, setting the example for the freshmen here on the University of Utah team. Elise Hoffner-Hips now wrapping things up for the Bruins. The only all-arounder for UCLA here tonight.
She's a 6-time All-American, a first team on vault, second team in the all-around, bars and floor. The blind full pirouette to a shoot half to handstand. The gymnast must finish those pirouetting skills in a complete handstand also. Her second release move, working into the dismount sequence. 2 giant swings and a double layout, stuck cold, and there's another great landing.
All right, we will total up the scores here in the first rotation, come back and give you the results of this first rotation right after this. Stick around, everybody. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. Utah versus UCLA in college gymnastics. Missing Marlowe, the first rotation in the book. A little bit of a surprise. Utah has the lead, 49.275, and the Bruins have 48.825. Utah looked very good on the vault.
I think they did look really good. Only the last vaulter stuck it cold, but really, you know, one small hop backwards for the first competition of the season, that's not bad at all. You know, UCLA had some really good bar teams also, just a few little minor mistakes here and there. UCLA is particularly known for its power on floor and vault. So we're only a quarter of the way through the meet, although Utah probably isn't as well known on vault as they are for some other events also. So I think this is going to be a really fun night.
And the freshmen have proved themselves well here for Utah. 3 of them performing on the vault. We'll have a couple more going on the bars for Utah, and they look a little nervous, but they did well.
They're doing fine. I think you could arguably say that vault's the easiest event to compete. So I think the test will come in the next 3 events.
And the Bruins, as you mentioned, one of the most powerful vaulting teams in the country. They come in as the defending national champions, and they are good for a reason. All right, UCLA will start things off here in the second rotation on the vault. Monique De La Torre leading the way for the Bruins.
Monique's doing a layout, Yurchenko full. Round off back handspring, full twist. And a good stretch off the horse. Good power. Again, just a little bit piked in the air. The judges are going to want to see a completely extended layout position.
And on the bars for Utah, Nancy Damianova from Canada, freshman. She had a 9.85 on her very first event, the vault.
And I guarantee she's feeling the pressure right now. So far, excellent swing in a perfect handstand position on low bar. The gymnast may not bend their elbows. Again, all pirouettes must be within 10 degrees of a perfect handstand and a double front dismount with just a step forward. That was a fantastic opening routine for Utah. Here's the dismount sequence, a double front, slightly over-rotated, step forward.
Sydney Sawa now for UCLA. And it's interesting, Missy, because through all the years, like you mentioned, when you think of UCLA, you think of power gymnastics. And they've just been so good on the vault and the floor for so long.
And just the tiniest hop forward. Again, she was a little more extended in the air, actually, than some of the other gymnasts we've seen, but she did have the hop forward. The gymnasts on vault, or the judges on vault, are looking for completely straight elbows on the horse. So if the gymnast bends to push, that's a deduction.
Jacqueline Johnson now, the senior for the Utes.
She has a career high of 9.85 on the bars. Here's her blind half pirouette to a piked Jaeger. Little bit low. They're going to want to see her catch the bar at bar height, not underneath the bar. A pack salto, named after the first Korean gymnast to invent the skill. Immediate pirouette and toe shoot or straddle shoot to high bar. Blind full to tuck double back. An excellent routine for Jacqueline. Stuck dismount, not one of the harder dismounts we've seen, but stuck cold.
And again, the degree of difficulty that we're seeing here will be nothing like we see towards the end of the year. They will just gradually increase that as the year goes on.
Absolutely.
On vault for UCLA, Elise Hoffner-Hibbs.
Elise Hoffner-Hibbs now for the Bruins.
A first-time All-American, first on vault. There's a round off back handspring. And probably the most powerful vault we've seen, with the exception of Kendall Robarts today. Really, really quick off the board. A little bit faster off the horse than some of the other gymnasts. And just no trouble at all getting that around.
Our first look now at Courtney Beers, the junior for the Red Rocks. Competing on the bars and the beam tonight.
There's her first release move, a Jaeger. Toe on, toe off. To a pack salto. There really is a lot of torque on the bar when the gymnast catches out of that big of a release move. Really difficult to hang on and control the glide kip out of a release like that. There's giant swing. Second giant swing to a double layout. And a good solid landing. You know, she slid her feet back, but she was clearly in complete control. So again, that's a judgment call by the judges.
And as Courtney Beers celebrates, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be back with more of this college gymnastics meet between Utah and UCLA right after this. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. UCLA on the vault here in the second rotation. This is Brittany McAuliffe going for the Bruins.
She has averaged a 9.867 on vault last year. And, you know, she may have a little bit of an ankle or a shin problem. It is not any kind of deduction at all to land on that 8-inch landing mat. But it did slide just a touch underneath her. And even though she was already just a touch low on the landing, it caused her to step forward a little more out of control than I think she would have been otherwise.
Gail Mackey set to perform for Utah. She's a former Canadian Olympian. First look at her here tonight.
There's an eagle grip to a piked Jaeger. Very difficult hand position. Shoot half, just about 10 degrees low on that handstand and low bar. Two giant swings to a double layout. Excellent form in the air on that double layout, and an excellent landing. And, you know, I've got to tell you, Wes, I think these Utes look a little bit stronger than they have in some of the past years.
I think you're absolutely correct.
I think they're carrying over the excitement of the lead from vault over the defending national champion Bruins.
Gail just stuck that landing. This is Tony Fatoni now for the Bruins.
This is the half on pike, the same vault we saw Kendall Robarts do. Large hop on the landing, a good vault, not quite as explosive and quite the height that we saw from Kendall.
Freshman sensation Corey Lothrop up next on the bars for the University of Utah. I was at practice earlier this week, Missy. Talked to Corey, asked her what her strength was, and she said she didn't think she was necessarily strong in any particular event. She just thought she was strong in all the events. And so far, she's pretty much showed that she's absolutely correct.
That's a great thing to be able to say, isn't it?
Usually there's, you know, somebody says they don't like the beam or they don't like the ball.
No, we want gymnasts to say, excuse me, I'm good on everything. Blind full pirouette to another half pirouette to a straddled Jaeger. Shoot half to handstand. And that may have been a little bit of a miss. I'm not sure why she did this little soul circle around low bar. But no deductions. Double layout, just the tiniest hop to the left. And Utah is really knocking out the bar routines.
They look very solid here tonight. In practice, they talked about wanting to see how they compared with the best in the country, and so far they're comparing very favorably. Olivia Courtney set to wrap things up on the vault for the UCLA Bruins.
There's a round off back handspring, layout full.
Olivia Courtney.
And even with that small hop on the landing, that was the cleanest, highest, and most powerful vault that we've seen tonight.
Stephanie McAllister now, the junior for the University of Utah, one of two all-arounders here for the Red Rocks tonight.
She's a second-team All-American on bars. There's an in-bar ganger, very difficult. She does it facing the other direction to a very
Hello.
unusual Weiler kip. Giant swing to a full twisting double back and just half a step with that left foot. And the Utes have a lot to be proud of the first half of this competition tonight.
Stephanie McAllister, the junior for Utah, looking very strong on the bars. We've reached the halfway point of this meet between the defending national champion UCLA Bruins and the 5th-ranked Utah Utes. We'll take a timeout and be back with the second half of this meet right after this. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. Utah versus UCLA in women's college gymnastics. And Missy Marlowe, we have a meet here. UCLA has cut into Utah's lead.
Isn't it?
Utah now 98.000, UCLA 97.975. Can't get much closer than this.
That is a tie.
UCLA very
Utah.
solid on the ball, as we knew they would be.
Yep, and Utah, it seems like last year, you know, they had maybe one major miss per competition. This year they got up, they knocked out 6 good routines. That was fun to watch.
They look solid so far. Now they move to the beam. UCLA heads to the floor. And let's talk about the beam, because this is my least favorite event. It just scares me to death. Hate it.
Almost always, it's the hardest event to compete. Not for everybody, but generally speaking, I think it's the hardest to watch. I think it's the hardest to compete. Floor, on the other hand, is quite possibly the easiest event to compete. Certainly the easiest one, kind of the least concentrated. It's the easiest one to let go, and you just go big, you have fun, and usually floor works out.
And if Utah can have a smooth performance on the beam, that sets them up for the finish on the floor, and anything can happen there.
Anything could happen. This is going to be great two events.
All right. Utah on the beam, and Canadian Gail Mackey will lead the way for the Red Rocks here.
Remember, the gymnasts start at a 9.5 on the bars, beam, and floor. And through combinations of leaps, such as the one she just did, and or difficulty, work their way up to a 10.0. So required tumbling series, back handspring, layout, step out. And she really let her back left leg go out to the side. She didn't pull it down directly in front of her front leg. Gail has had trouble competing beam in the past. She fell at the national championships in Nebraska 2 years ago. It's just a little bit inconsistent, and the Utes do not want to start out this event with a fall.
It's always tough to put pressure on the rest of the gymnasts because they know that their score is going to count.
That's right, and a little bit crooked on that full twisting back handspring swing down.
And then the meet is this close. Any break like that
That's right.
could be the difference.
It's important that she keeps moving quickly, that the routine stays sharp and focused. And there's a dismount, a gainer pike off the end. Not the way that Utah would want to start in a competition that's basically tied. Here's the dismount, a gainer pike off the end. Stuck landing.
First up on floor for UCLA, Tani Fratone.
Tani Fratone, our first competitor on the floor here tonight.
The first pass is almost always the hardest. Round off back handspring, pike double back. A little bit of a simpler first pass. She has a pretty heavily taped right ankle. Round off, whip half, immediate punch, 1.5 twist. There's bonus in the difficulty of that combination.
Gymnasts have 3 required tumbling passes on the floor, correct?
Well, they just have to meet the requirements. So generally speaking, the gymnasts do 3, almost always. Every now and then, the gymnast may do 2 or maybe even 4 at the elite level. It's a 99.5% of the time they'll be doing 3 passes. There are required leaps, required turns, in addition to the difficulty of the tumbling. Final tumbling run. Front handspring, front 1.5 twist. A little bit sloppy on the landing, just a little bit off balance.
Tani Fratone for the Bruins on the floor.
A clean first routine for UCLA. They obviously started out better on their first event than Utah did, but not quite the difficulty that we're used to seeing from UCLA.
See how Utah can regroup after they had a fall on their first competitor. This is Stephanie McAllister, the junior, working the all-around for Utah.
Full turn, required move. Tumbling series, back handspring step out, layout, and a balance check, 2 to 3 tenths on that. A much needed stick. Straddle jump, quarter turn. Every leap and jump must be 180-degree split. She's just a little bit shaky on some of the landings. Setting up for the dismount. She can take a 1 or 2 second breathing pause. Round off, double twist. A little bit of hop to the right side. And here's the dismount, a round off, double twist, good form in the air, slightly back and to the right.
Next up on floor for UCLA.
Sydney Sawa now on the floor for the Bruins.
She placed 3rd on the floor exercise at the World Cup in Montreal in 2009. Opening tumbling run. Tuck double back. The sting mat in the corners to protect her ankles. She's probably recovering or making sure she doesn't injure an ankle this early in the season. That was a front 1.5 twist to a Branny. Music slows down a little bit before the third tumbling run. Floor routines are 1:10 to 1:30. Last pass, round up back handspring, double pike, a little bit short on that landing. She had some pretty bent arms on the back handspring going into that, just a little bit of fatigue at the end of the routine.
Sydney Sawa for the Bruins. Now Utah's third competitor on the beam, Courtney Beers.
Courtney Beers.
She had career highs of 9.80 on the beam at regionals and nationals last year.
Beautiful needle scale. Showing off her flexibility right off the bat. There's a front aerial. Setting up for her tumbling. They get a 1-second concentration pause, and that's it. Back handspring, layout, step out, solid landing. There's the kind of series Utah needs.
Again, her career high, 9.80. Utah could use a new career high from her right here.
You know, it's funny with those full turns, you'll see they pause and concentrate. Almost as hard sometimes as before the harder tumbling skills. Every gymnast knows it's the little things that can get you sometimes.
Did you notice the little Utah signal there?
Well, now I knew that they were doing that on floor. I did not know that it would be part of beam. Here's an unusual side needle scale. Crowd pleaser. And the cart will swing through full twist.
That was a great
And
routine.
that was a fantastic routine by Courtney Beers.
That was an incredible routine.
And not only was it great, it was necessary. They needed that after starting out with the miss, and she delivered in a big way, a stock landing, a great ending to a really, really solid routine.
That was clutch. That was just a clutch performance by Courtney Beers, who flashed at the Utah sign. Crowd very appreciative of her efforts.
Floor for UCLA, Olivia Courtney.
Olivia Courtney now on the floor for the Bruins.
Round off back handspring, Arabian double front, incredibly difficult first pass. Right back to the corner for her second run. Front half to front full.
Gymnasts are supposed to use as much of the mat as possible, correct, during the routine?
The entire space of the floor. And she just tumbles right down the side of the floor, too. Just so powerful. Front aerial. Very unusual floor music. Round off back handspring, tuck double back, easy landing. There's a tourniquet full. New style of music with vocals.
Olivia Courtney finishing her routine for UCLA. We need to pause to take care of some commercial business. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. It's UCLA versus Utah in women's college gymnastics. This is freshman Corey Lothrop for Utah.
Corey was second place on balance beam at the 2008 Pan American Games in Argentina. She has a skill named after her in this routine. It's a side aerial with a little bit of a switch leg on the landing. We'll see that in a moment. drop. Corey's been hyped in the local media as the next superstar of this team. A little bit of a bob on the flick layout.
We talked to each of these freshmen about the pressure of competing here and how difficult it is and what they would expect. And even though the seniors and juniors talk to them about the pressure here, until they compete in this situation, they don't get it.
No, it's a very different feeling. So far tonight, Corey is delivering and living up to her preseason hype. There's round off, full and a half twist to another stuck clean landing. Round off, full and a half twist.
UCLA, Nikki Tom.
Straight up.
Nikki Tom now on the floor for the Bruins.
She was a second-team All-American on floor in 2009. Open tumbling run. Pike double back. Just a hair short on that landing. The gymnasts are allowed to use those mounts in the corners with no deductions as long as the corners are marked so the judges can tell if they were to go out of bounds.
Nikki's ankles heavily taped as well. I don't think people understand the pounding that a gymnast body takes throughout their careers.
It's just incredible. Remember, they're doing this kind of training at the age of 9 and 10 and 11 years old to be able to get to schools like Utah and UCLA.
And they're doing it daily over and over and over.
And it's year-round. There's no seasons in gymnastics. In fact, for most of these gymnasts, dropping back to the NCAA required limit of 20 hours per week, in some of their cases, cuts them back 15 hours a week of training.
Really?
And the fact that they have from May until the end of August off is unheard of. Front half, front full. She had a miss on that second tumbling run. We'll see what the judges do with her start value and her score.
Next up, on beam for Utah, Marybeth Lofgren.
Marybeth Lofgren now, one of the freshmen for the Utes. She scored a 9.825 on the vault earlier.
Marybeth's mother is a level 10 rated gymnastics judge. Her and her father, Dan. Certainly a local favorite. That handspring layout, step out. Nice solid landing, just a touch of form on the back leg. Side aerial. It's required front or side skill. Front aerial. Again, as we've mentioned, Utah relying heavily on freshmen. Cartwheel, swing through full twist dismount, and a really solid routine. She just competed with all the confidence in the world in that routine.
That was an interesting dismount.
It was a one-arm cartwheel through to a swing through full. Little bit piked in the air on the twist position.
Our first look at Lachelle Wong for UCLA. She'll be competing on the beam as well for the Bruins.
She was sidelined last year after a good start with a sprained ankle. That was an easily landed double pike. Front handspring, front full punch front layout. UCLA are always a team with very expressive performers. Switch leap through to it. Switch leap half.
Is that the kind of athlete that Valerie will recruit? The powerful tumbling?
Well, absolutely, but you know, every school wants them. Like we've said, by the time a gymnast gets to college, it's pretty evident what their strengths and weaknesses are. Some gymnasts are more elegant and powerful, more elegant and graceful. Some are more powerful as long as they can meet the requirements. A combination of both shows a well-balanced team.
Michelle Wong.
Pretty solid performance by Michelle Wong for the Bruins.
Kendall Robart.
And the final competitor for Utah on the beam is the senior Kendall Robart.
First team All-American on beam last year. Utah's 2010 MVP. At handspring, layout, step out. Excellent landing. Front aerial. That little jump out adds a 10th of bonus when it's combined with the difficulty of the front aerial. Switch lead, straddle, quarter jump turn. Side aerial. The Utes have done a fantastic job answering after the fall in the first event.
This event makes me nervous.
Round off double twist. Excellent landing.
Nice.
This team has responded with confidence that they really struggled with all last season. Couldn't seem to get on top of the confidence on balance beam, and here they come out in the season opener, jump up and walk through the routines with no problem. This is exactly what everybody wants to see that's a Utah fan.
Kendall Robart's finishing things off for Utah on the beam. Elise Hoffner-Hibbs now wrapping things up for the Bruins on the floor. The only all-arounder for the Bruins here tonight. Is the sport becoming more specialized, Missy?
It absolutely is.
We used to see a lot more all-arounders back in the day.
Arabian double fronto, a little bit of a stumble on the landing. Not from over-rotating, I think just from being off balance to the side. So turns to take half to wolf full. Very powerful music. Final tumbling run. Round off, full and a half twist to a Brandy. Round off back handspring, pike double back. Oh, and again, just slightly off balance, but she did not go out of bounds.
Elise Hoffner-Hibbs.
Elise Hoffner-Hibbs wrapping things up for the Bruins. 3 rotations down, 1 rotation to go.
Exhibition.
We'll be back for the final rotation here at the Huntsman Center in just a minute. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. Leslie Ruff alongside Missy Marlowe, and Utah is leading the defending national champion UCLA Bruins after 3 rotations. Missy, 146.875 to 146.800. This
How
is a
exciting
close
is
meet.
that, huh? Yeah. What a wonderful comeback after Gail Mackey's miss on the first event on balance beam. 5 solid routines. They did just what they needed to do. UCLA has some good, clean routines, but not the most difficult that they're capable of. They'll be upgrading throughout the season.
And I thought Courtney Beer's performance on the beam was
amazing.
incredible.
Spectacular, wasn't it?
And, and Kendall Roberts finishing off with a 9.850, and that's why Utah has the lead right now, although a very slim lead over the Bruins.
Very slim lead, although, you know, you could say it's a lot easier to be going to floor than going to balance beam right now.
Absolutely. Over 12,000 fans here at the Huntsman Center, and they would like nothing more than to go home tonight after witnessing a Utah victory over UCLA. UCLA getting ready to compete on the beam now. Suzuki Sato. And a change in the scoring for UCLA. 146.825, so they've received .025 more points than we originally gave them credit for. So the meet's even tighter than we thought.
There's a straddle jump, back handspring swing down, also called a gym acro for the combination of the dance and the acro skill. Setting up, switch leap, a little bit of a bobble. That's going to break the connection here into the back handspring layout, step out, to a back handspring swing down. Wow, she was not on that back foot. I did not expect her to keep going. She did a really good job of hanging on to the series. But breaking up that switch leap to the back handspring cost her a 10th and connection bonus. Round off, double twist, little bit low on that landing, quite a big pike down and a step to the side.
Mary Beth Lofgren now on the floor for the University of Utah. They know they have the lead, but I don't think they're going to be conservative in this event at all.
Well, they don't have room to be conservative. Talked to her parents in the stands before they meet. Her mom said, I think I'm going to be sick. Round off back handspring, pike double back, solid landing. Mary Beth has been a solid level 10 competitor and a fixture at the level 10 national championships for many, many years. She's a local product out of Olympus Gymnastics in Sandy, coached by Mary Wright and Ryan Kirkham. Mary's who's an assistant coach here at Utah, helps with their dance and choreography.
University of Utah with 3 Utah products on the team for the first time since you competed.
Yep. One of my years, 1990, with myself and Shelly Scher and Chris Takahashi was the last time that's happened. Slowing down a little bit before the last tumbling run. Front handspring, front one and twist to lay out, step out. Excuse me, her second tumbling run. Clean landing.
Nicely done by Mary Beth Lofgren.
Gorgeous routine for Mary Beth. Establishing herself right out of the gate as a crowd favorite. Rudy to back layout, step out.
Pick up the Bruins on the beam. This is Nikki Tom. And a 9.70 on the floor earlier. And you would think a veteran team like UCLA would be able to handle the pressure on the beam. They know what's at stake here.
There's a one-arm front walkover to an aerial quarter turn. Possibly intended to be a side semi, although she wasn't sideways over the top in the air. There's a difficult arabesque turn. Right to a switch leap, wolf jump, back handspring swing down. A little bit of a hesitation between the connection on that. The judges may not give her the connection bonus for those last 2 skills. Tuck jump full turn, immediate changement.
What was that last one?
Changement.
That's what I thought you said.
No, your ballet.
Oh, I'm all about the ballet, Missy.
It's okay, Wes. That's what I'm for. There's the round off. Double twist. A little bit off balance on the landing. 10th and a half on the landing. Again, a clean routine.
Nancy Damianova A member of the Canadian Olympic team competing for the University of Utah here on the floor.
You know, Canada is represented here tonight, aren't they, on both teams? With the dark hair and gorgeous line, she's a little bit of a reminder. Tuck, double back. Oh, almost rotated, and she holds on to the corner.
By the smallest of margins, she kept her heel in.
Full and a half twist to front layout. I was saying a little bit of a reminder of Christina Basquette. Has a similar body style, similar dramatic dance.
Always fascinated by the music the gymnasts choose for the floor. It kind of shows their personality.
Now, choosing music can be a long process. it has to feel exactly right. Can't just be close. And off that handspring, pike double back. She held on to that well, just a little bit low. A little bit off balance on the last dance. Now she looks a touch tired, which is to be expected at this point in the season. Their conditioning isn't quite where it will be in March and April. Round up back handspring, pike double back.
Michelle Wong.
Michelle Wong now on the beam for UCLA. Bruins have gone this entire meet without a major break, which you would expect from the defending national champions.
Beautiful switch leap to straddle jump, completely extended, fully split. The front aerial, it's a front walkover with no hands. Changement. Handspring step out, layout step out. Perfectly executed. Scissor side leap. The 10th bonus for its difficulty. Small balance check on the full turn. And a round off. Full and a half twist. Hop on the landing. Other than that, a very clean routine. Very solid. She had excellent lines on her leaps.
Next
Everything was
up, on
completely
court for
extended and
Utah,
fully split.
Jacqueline Johnson.
Jacqueline Johnson now set to compete for the University of Utah.
She was sidelined earlier in her career with some shoulder problems and some injuries. She's rebounded from those. There's a tuck double back.
This is as solid of a Utah team as I've seen in a lot of years.
No, Wes, I agree. I mean, their difficulty obviously will continue to improve. You never, ever start the first of the season with everything you're capable of doing. It's just too dangerous. It leaves the athletes open to too many injuries. But, you know, they look so well prepared. That was a full and a half twist to front layout. And, you know, really they look confident. We kept saying all last season, this is a good team. They don't believe in themselves enough. And I don't sense that from this team at all. I think they look very sure of themselves.
I think the freshmen have brought in some new enthusiasm and some new excitement. And I think the upperclassmen are serious about bringing Utah back to the form that they had back in their glory days.
I completely agree. Two and a half twists.
Another solid performance from Jacqueline Johnson.
Now it's going back and forth, isn't it? One solid routine after another. Here's the double tuck, first pass.
Next up on beam for UCLA.
Only 3 competitors remain for each team. This is coming right down to the wire. We'll have the final results coming up right after this. All right, welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. UCLA on the beam. Tani Fatone.
Not a regular competitor on the balance beam for UCLA. There's a pike jump to back pike. Oh, and the first miss for UCLA.
First one of the night.
Really putting some pressure on the last 2 competitors for UCLA. You know,
in a meet this close, the margin of error is so small here.
Yeah, it really is. You know, people sometimes joke that gymnastics fans are so polite and so nice to each other. We're not supposed to be nice to the competition, but I think there's a lot of respect between Utah and UCLA, and I think Utahns really have the feeling that, you know, it's going to be us and we want it to be us, but if it's not going to be us, we want it to be UCLA.
I think the fans here love seeing top-notch gymnastics, whether it's from Utah or their opponents. Obviously, they want Utah to win, but they appreciate good performances.
Round off double twist, just a little bit short on the landing, and really putting the last 2 competitors for UCLA in a tight spot.
Junior Stephanie McAllister ready to go for Utah. I interviewed her earlier this week, and she just beams of confidence. I like Stephanie.
That makes it easy to do an interview, doesn't it? It's really hard when they don't talk. Round off back handspring, full twisting double back, and you know that's a really difficult pass, and she just made that look so simple. Along with the double Arabians we've seen, that is the hardest pass that's been done so far tonight. So a little bit under split on the switch to ring leap. Her floor is not just about the tumbling. The dance, the turns, the composition, and the performance quality all factor into the final score. 2.5 twist to front tuck. Another difficult combination
that look
tumbling.
easy.
Final tumbling run. 2.5 twist to lay out, step out. And this routine is putting some real pressure on UCLA after the fall they just had. That was a really difficult routine.
That layout step out
performed easily.
looked so smooth when she came out of that.
It was. And here we'll see it. Double twist, punch.
Smooth that was right there.
Layout, step out.
Aisha Gerber now ready to go for the Bruins. The pressure is on UCLA.
She's been limited in the past to bars and beam due to an ankle injury. Second team All-American on the balance beam in 2010. Here's the switch leap, split jump. Side summy. So far answering. The fall in the last routine with a good, solid routine. Front aerial. Held on to that slight misbalance to get the bonus connection. Stand step down. Back handspring step out. Layout step out to a full twist.
Impressive.
Really
That was
difficult dismount tumbling combination.
Aisha Gerber performing well for the Bruins.
Now the thing about that dismount is there is no room for error whatsoever. If your back foot is off even a quarter of an inch, it's right down the side of the beam.
Kendall Robarts ready to go for Utah. The next to the last competitor for the Red Rocks here on the floor.
So far putting just a fantastic meet together. Arabian double front, solid landing. You know, it's really neat to watch teams that have athletes that want to be stars. It's nice to play nice and say that you want to be a part of a team and this and that, but when gymnasts or athletes on any team can separate themselves out, it just adds a dimension that makes it so much harder to compete against. And sometimes we've had teams in the past that have definitely had some superstars in Christina Basquet and Nina Kim and Ashley. But some years that's been missing a little bit. And I think this year that we have several girls who are going to be battling for those top honors every night. And I think that's really exciting for the youths.
Kendall will certainly be one of those. 9.925 on the vault, a 9.850 on the beam, and a solid performance so far here on the floor.
Whip to double twist, just a little bit low on the landing.
This is going to be interesting.
This is really going to be close.
Great performance by Kendall.
Depending on what happens with this next beam routine.
Next up,
Elise Hoffner-Hibbs, final competitor for UCLA on the beam. She leads the all-around competition here tonight.
She's a seasoned veteran for UCLA. Side area layout step out. By far the most difficult tumbling combination we've seen tonight. Switch leap. Oh, and you know, her front foot just slipped. Now, it doesn't matter that she didn't come off the beam. That is a fall. And that probably just took UCLA out of the running.
May have just seen the meat swing in Utah's favor right there.
You know, and that's just really, I mean, that's just almost a fluke, too, to be off on something with her level of ability. And to have that happen on just a switch leap is really just a fluke.
And that's going to open up the competition in the all-around. Now between Utah and Stephanie McAllister and Corey Lothrop.
Round off double twist. And you know, it's disappointing and it's frustrating, but really, the coaches are not going to get too upset about that. It's just one of those weird things that happen.
And you know, she
nothing to go back and train and fix. She'll probably never do that again in the next 2 years.
And you know, she feels bad about it being the leader on this team.
Absolutely.
All right, final competitor of the night is Corey Lothrop, the freshman for Utah. Good performance here will net her the all-around title.
And that's an unusual situation to have a freshman anchoring the team on the last event. Quite an honor, really. Well, another full twisting double back, landed just a hair low, actually. Strong, powerful music. Right back to the corner for second tumbling run. Full and a half twist to front layout. She needs to get her leg on the wolf jump completely to horizontal. Scissor side to straddle full. back handspring, pike double back, barely off balance. To be honest, not quite as clean of a routine as the last two competitors for Utah. And,
I think she's
you know, there is going to be some real interest generated in this team, assuming they knock off the #1 ranked Bruins, or for that matter, even come awfully close. This puts the Utes back in the running for another national championship.
We will total the scores and be back with the final tally and give you the winners and the all-around champion here in just a minute. Stick around, everybody. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. College gymnastics, Utah versus UCLA, and Utah has pulled off what many would consider a shocker, beating the defending national champion UCLA Bruins by a score of 195.700 to 195.300. Missy, this is a great performance by Utah.
Right, well, it came down to that fall by Elise Hoffner-Hibbs. Unfortunately, you don't want to win by someone falling, but win's a win. And, gymnastics is a very mental sport. So having this team start out with the win over the national championships, I mean, it's just like any sport. That is something you take and you run with it, and it will only get better. And I just sense a chemistry with these kids that, it just seems special. They're not, over the top, crazy or super exciting. But again, it was the first meet of the season, and they were strong and they were aggressive and they were they just seemed unfazed, I guess. That's what I'm thinking. They came in and they did their job and they did it well. And with that many new kids on a team, that really says a lot.
Well, I think a lot of people thought with 7 freshmen coming in that this would be a rebuilding year for Utah. They didn't want to hear anything about that. No. They wanted to establish a dynasty again here at Utah, and they wanted to do it now, not in the future.
Right, and the freshmen were fantastic.
Absolutely. And Corey Lothrop, the freshman that everyone was talking about coming in, was not sensational tonight, but she was very, very solid, and we're seeing the beginnings of what could be a great career here at Utah.
I think so, too. And Mary Beth Lofgren also doing a great job. A local gymnast, didn't get a lot of attention, was just a really good level 10, competitor. She's not only going to have a great freshman year, she's going to have a great 4 years here.
Stephanie McAllister wins the all-around with a score of 39.175. Corey Lothrop second, 39.025. And this just bodes good things for Utah in the future.
It does. This will be an exciting season to watch.
All right, Utah's got they'll head on the road. They've got a couple of tough meets coming up. They will be at Georgia next Friday to take on the 7th-ranked Lady Bulldogs. Then it's on to 10th-ranked Nebraska before returning home here at the Huntsman Center for a meet against Stanford on Friday, January 28th. Stanford ranked number 10 in the number 6 in the preseason poll, so that'll be a great meet. That meet will be televised, and you can see it on KUCW, the Channel 30 here in Salt Lake City, and that will be on Sunday morning on January 30th. So Utah wins over defending champion UCLA. For Missy Marlowe, Wesley Ruff, and an entire crew here at the Huntsman Center, thanks for watching and have a great night.